Hey everyone, welcome back to We Got This. I'm your host Jessie, and today we're pulling up a few extra chairs for an episode called Who's at Your Table? So imagine you could set a table for 3 people, anyone at all. They could be living, someone who has passed on, or even a higher power. Who would be sitting across from you? What would you want to ask them? Or maybe even just enjoy their company with, have a meal with them. Or maybe you wouldn't say anything at all and would just simply enjoy the moment with them. You can only have 3 people though. So I asked 4 different people this one meaningful question. And I'll be sharing my own answers towards the end too. So their choices might surprise you. They might even touch you because there were quite a bit of them that did for me just listening to. And even maybe kind of make you start creating this guest list of who you would have at your table. Or maybe they're even similar to who you would have at your table. So let's pull up a chair because this table is set and I'm actually really excited to share my guest list with you all. So, without further ado, I'm actually going to start off with my mom. We actually did some practice because she was kind of nervous about doing an interview with me, but I call her Madre. I think her answers were actually really amazing. So you might kind of hear me just say the question in different ways, but it's pretty much the exact same question for everyone I interviewed. So Madre is first up to bat.
No pressure or nothing. That's a hard one. I would like to have the meal with them, but I don't know that I would know what to ask because I want them to just tell me everything.
Or if you could just have an interaction with them then.
Well, I think the biggest one is I would love to sit down with Jesus. I would love to hear everything that happened when he was on this earth. But I really would. That's my number one. I really like to talk to somebody only because I think I would have wanted to be born back when they were making their way west. I know it was hard and a lot of people died and stuff, but I would just like to talk to somebody who went through that thing, but survived, not died.
Well, wait, went through what?
You know exactly? What, the Wild West? You know when everybody was moving their families in covered wagons?
Like the pioneer wagons?
The pioneer wagons, yes. I would love to sit down and hear. I would like to go through it, but I would love to sit down with a family and just, I know there's heartache and everything. I've read enough about it, but that just fascinates me. And the third person, oh.
So after I read Matthew Perry's book, I actually think it would be really cool to just talk to him about addiction or some of his stories he wrote about. I would want more detail on it.
Well, and it's kind of hard to on the spot say something because I've read so many books and I've watched so many documentaries and I've admired, a lot of what people have gone through. So to just come up with it on the fly is kind of hard. But I don't know. I have done so much in my life.
What about your grandparents or?
I never knew
or before them.
They came over here from Europe, so that'd be interesting. I don't feel a connection though. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I want to sit down with somebody that I connect, like the Wild West, I connect with that type of, I love horses, I love all that. I love that era.
What about the author you like? William something something?
Nah, I liked
No?
his books, but
Okay.
I don't think I'd want to sit down and ask him questions. I do like history. So, they've been doing a lot of talking about uh, the Constitution and all that stuff. I would love to be a fly on the wall because I didn't realize it was so that they gave so much, even knew that they could die by signing that I'm like, oh, I would love to hear their inner inner thoughts about what was going through your head, like this is it.
Or like the conversations they were having?
Yeah, because they had to talk to their families and stuff. It's like, you know what? And I know some of the wives are right on board. I don't know if all of them were or not. So the author I had mentioned was William Kent Kruger. I hope I'm saying that right. We actually both fell in love with this author. It was a book called This Tender Land, and she just kept finding more books about him. So I was kind of curious if that would be one, but I guess not. And that's okay. But there was definitely another gentleman we brought up. His name he's a professor over in England, and I believe it's John Lennox. There was an interview that he had done with the Diary of a CEO and the OCCA, Oxford Center for Christian Apologetics. And she showed me this video and it kind of blew my mind. I haven't even finished this video because it is about an hour and a half, roughly. But this man, she said, is so smart and so educated, but he knows how to question things. And he really is questioning AI and where it's taking us, where it's headed, and how much he questioned logic before he found God. And he's like this really big expert on so many things. And he's such a well-respected gentleman. I want to say he's in his 80s, but I'm not 100% on that. I still kind of wanted to do more research on him. But I do remember talking about that with my mom, and she just would love to like have a conversation with him, get to kind of explore his mind. But once I found the YouTube video, I did want to share this one thing that he said that really just hit me.
Found it very illuminating because he's obviously got very close to the major operators in this. But if I step back from it, I look at AI like a knife. A good knife, you can use it for surgery or you can use it for murder. And that leads us into it immediately. AI, narrow, brilliant for picking out the terrorist in a football crowd. Also brilliant for suppressing a minority in China.
So just to correct myself, he is a Northern Irish mathematician, bioatheist, if I'm saying that word right, and a lay theologian. He has written so many books on just religion, ethics, and kind of that relationship between science and God. But he's like really good at public debates with atheists, with really anyone. It's almost like he just speaks this really calm way to you. And he, makes it into simple terms where it's not like he's only speaking to someone who knows all these big fancy words. And he is 82. I had to make sure of that too. But I do like that my mom thought of this gentleman, and it came out of nowhere. But after, even watching part of this YouTube video, and I will definitely provide the link, it just kind of blew my mind with where he takes this interview, and it's really good. And I think it's actually kind of funny now that I'm looking at my notes of everyone's interview. I don't think we all really kept it down to 3 people, but that just goes to show you that it's really hard to narrow this down because there's so many influences and people you respect. And even if you didn't personally know them and they're a complete stranger in your life, there's a lot of people we can look up to and just learn from. So I really think this is awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and move along. So this is one of my friends. His name is Troy, and he actually has a very different upbringing, being from another country. So I really like to ask him questions, just more so out of curiosity. I probably annoy him, but it doesn't seem to push him away too far. Thank goodness, because I'm still really learning a lot. And these are some of his answers.
First off, I would say Jesus, because I'm a Christian and I would love to hear his wisdom directly from him, and try to better understand his teachings from his own perspective. So I think that would be an interesting one, first off. And then secondly, I would say MLK is another one I would love to have a meal with. I would just like to understand his perspective on having courage and being a strong figure and a strong leader. I know he went through a lot of backlash, so I would love to know how he musters the courage to do and did what he did. And then lastly, I would say LeBron. This one is a lot more personal for me because LeBron is like my favorite athlete of all time. And basketball is one of my interests. So I would want to speak to him about just his high basketball IQ, because he's a very brilliant player, and his mind makes him different from others. And I'd love to know what else makes him the best player ever in my eyes. So I think that would be very interesting for me, and I would love to hear from him.
Awesome.
You want me to
Yeah.
go?
Yeah, you're good.
Another person I would love to have a meal with in my family line actually would be my grandfather, which is my mom's dad, but he passed before I actually got to meet him. He passed, I think, like 2 or 3 years before I came about, so I would love to actually meet him and talk to him about life in general. And I learned a lot from my other grandparents, so I could only imagine what he could also teach me. And I know that he was into aviation. He was a pilot.
Oh, wow.
So that is also something that interests me. And who knows, maybe if I met him, I might be a pilot or be doing aviation today. So that leaves a lot to be wondered. And he's somebody I would have loved to meet.
Oh, I didn't know that. So do you, I mean, had you like sat down and really got to know him as you grew up, do you think you probably would have been more influenced by the pilot and like gone to school for it and everything? Or just that curiosity you feel like would be more fulfilled?
I think it's a little bit of both. Very curious about him, especially with the stories that I've been told from my mom specifically. And then just having that knowledge that I get from my other grandparents in general, I just feel like that could have been very helpful for me and in my own life. So a little bit of both on both sides.
Okay.
So I know we added his grandfather's story after he did originally answer those 3 people, but something told me to pry. And I just from knowing him as a former classmate, I know there's more to say. So I did push a little, but I actually thought his grandfather's story was really cute. And honestly, how many of us can relate to that? Like, had you really met your grandparents or even your great great grandparents? I mean, it's kind of hard to say that they would be alive when you came about because of how many years are in between, how much we would have really been influenced to kind of do what they did. And I mean, even for me, I know my grandmother was raised on a milk farm, and, her parents did that for such a long time. It made her do it, but she only did it for some of the time until she met my grandfather and they got married, had kids, and, she got to move away. But it does make me wonder, like, had I met her parents and been around them like that, how much of an influence it would have impacted me. Or, I mean, just the curiosity and just the, like, knowing how to do it or being around it so much. Like, would I have been a farmer? I mean, I have no idea. So I really liked that story, and that's why I kind of pried a little bit more, but I'm glad I did. And you really just never know how your interests come about, obviously through genes and DNA, but how much of your personality you're actually like a family member that maybe you never even met. But that's why I love hearing family stories. That's why I love playing on Ancestry.com. I can't always afford to do it. By the way, Ancestry, I feel like you should, I don't know, make it like a 6-month plan, not a monthly plan, just a shout out there. But I love finding out things from both sides of my family, because my father's parents were both born and raised in Mexico, and my mother's mom, all her family and ancestry is born and came over from Europe. And then my mom's father's parents and family are all from Virginia. So it's just, it really kind of blows your mind how you can trace or even follow your family heritage line even a little bit and just see some of the pictures of the era. And I love Ancestry because they do that, from like yearbook pictures, newspaper clippings, obituaries and everything. Like they really have it together, and I love it. And I'm so glad I did the DNA part of it too, because I have found cousins all over this country, and I can only imagine like how far out it goes the more I explore it. And I just think that's so cool to know your family history. If I could truly personally afford like a private investigator, I think one of my dad's cousins did this, and it was like thousands of dollars. But if I could afford that, I would do it, because I know my abuela, my father's mom, used to tell us stories where our family line goes back to the Aztecs and Mayans. I don't remember what side we were, but I know that's how far back our family line goes. And it's just so funny that I brought this up, because our next interview is with my little bestie, Amber, and she brings up some interesting names. But all in all, I absolutely love finding out this bit of information, even about my best friend's family heritage and family line. And let's get more into that one.
I know you're going to think this is controversial, but
Not
I would
at all.
say Donald Trump.
Okay.
And the reason why is because I want to ask her, what the hell is he thinking with today's society?
So you
Right.
really like interview him?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I would want to do an interview with him And I thought you could be like, oh my God, Amber, really?
No.
But him, for sure, because of that, because I want to interview him, because I want to really ask him what is his point of things that he's doing. Next one.
And just to kind of reiterate, because we overtalk each other so much, I'm sorry about that, you guys. She said Donald Trump for her first one.
So you're on your second person.
That's a good question. My second person that I would want to interview would probably be, and honestly, this is for family reasons also, but Joan of Arc.
Ooh,
because she is related to us. We're related.
Oh my God.
Yes. So I would love to see, like, her aspects of things, the way she sees things, and, the way she was raised, because, she was considered a witch and everything, like, but she still believed in her beliefs and all that stuff.
Right.
So I would love
that's why you're all strong, independent women.
Yes. So, yeah, we find out we're related to her. So, yeah, we're her cousin's cousin. So, we're like generations off, but still, that's still fun,
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. And I just like to, like how being like in that time era, how it is, and how hard it was to, be a strong, independent woman, to instill beliefs, you know what I mean? Like, I would like to interview her because I feel like she's a very strong feminine icon for me.
Right. Especially in a time where they just didn't give women any type
exactly. And look at her. She freaking led a war,
right,
to victory, and then they burned her at the stake, right. So it just shows you that men are intimidated by women.
Absolutely. Especially a smart one.
Yeah. So definitely her for family aspects of it, and also just being herself, And the last person, and it's just so funny, like, it would be like a double conversation.
Okay.
Like, God and the devil. And the reason why is...
that's interesting. I didn't see that one coming.
And the reason why is because, like, why? Why must they have these two different versions of the world, Why can't it all be united? Why do we have to have love and hate? Why do we have to have, good and bad? Why do we have to have right and wrong?
Well, what's funny is that I feel like you should sit down with Adam and Eve then.
True.
But like Adam and Eve on one side and then the snake on the other.
Yeah, they created, so like God created that, and then he, and then the devil, was a snake, and he tempted he tempted Eve, you know what I mean?
So I kind of want to stop there only because of where we take this. And I actually think this will be a great idea because it's like a whole other conversation. Me and Amber are going to sit down and do a whole episode on this because it's kind of the way she believes how it worked. And we kind of went into why men have an Adam's apple. And I've honestly never heard of it this way before. So that kind of piqued my curiosity. So me and Amber, we got a date. We are definitely doing another Best Friends episode, but we got to go back into that whole thing about what we were talking about and having like that whole other conversation about Adam and Eve and the snake.
Personally, I think that's a whole nother conversation. But personally, I think that Adam was the first one to be tempted, and then he had Eve fall into it later on. But that's why men are blessed. That's why men have Adam's apples, because they took the first bite of the apple. Just me personally. But I think it was the other way around, and then the society switched it, because back then women wasn't.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So,
But I think that's why God made men have Adam's apples and not women's. Women.
Very interesting. I never even thought of it that way.
Yeah. Because they give them, like, we don't have one. If we were the first, like, wouldn't you think, like, if we were the first ones to bite an apple, we would probably have, like, an Adam's apple?
Right. And it would be a better thing. Because we'd be used to it by now.
Yeah. So, but men have them.
That's
It's like they're always choking on, you know, they always have something stuck in their throat. So that's just my theory. But those will probably be my 3 conversations that I want to sit down with. Trump to ask why. And one of them is, it's really just to,
like, kind of get inside their head.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah, I would want to get inside their head. And, like, I know people are like, oh, I want to talk to this person because they're millionaires, how they have, you know, become millionaires. Not me. I really want to understand things.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I want to understand why this happened, why we're like this, why are you doing this?
Mm-hmm.
You know. So that's what I am.
Well, and see, I'm honestly surprised you didn't say your mom or Catherine in one of the answers.
You know, like, I've had conversations with them in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to have conversations with them. I want to have conversations with people so I have, you know, one person today's society, one person in the past, and then the people who created the world.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I want.
So, and kind of going back to that, because I wanted to use where my bestie explained why she thinks of how Adam's apples are for men. I had never heard of that, like, theory, I guess you could say. And it's not to say she's right or wrong, but I mean, I've always heard of, you know, maybe a piece of the forbidden fruit got stuck in his throat when he did eat it. So honestly, I just want to leave it for a whole nother episode because me and her can go back and forth all day long, but we could definitely dive into it all deeper. But I wanted to give you like a little snippet of what that one would be about. And last but not least will be my answers. I actually did something really funny. I was playing with Google because, I mean, who doesn't randomly ask Google questions? And I went ahead and wanted to ask Google AI, since it likes to pop up all the time now, who they would pick. And before I even answer that, I thought this was a hoax. I didn't think this was real. I thought it was like fake news, but apparently our beloved Dolly Parton has just passed away at 80 years old. And it's so sad to hear because she has made so much, like, just, it's really sad. She's done a lot for women, for country music, for music in general. Let me not even say country music alone. Music in general. And she did a version of one of my favorite songs for King and Country, God Only Knows, and it's like she put her own spin on it and it was great. And oh man, it sucks to start seeing all these legendary people that we kind of not praise, but really have respect for because of how much they made the way for other people, and other platforms to kind of gravitate to and use to get to where they are today. And unfortunately, it's all over TMZ news outlets. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it does look like Dolly Parton has passed away. And I just want to, reach out to like the family, all the fans. Like, I feel like everyone's going to feel this one. Like, she was a family member to a lot of different generations, a lot of different people, ethnicities, personalities, you name it. So I just want to send a prayer out to the family, friends, the fans. Dolly Parton is a name I feel like everyone knows or has at least heard of. So we just pray for everyone to stay strong. Send prayers for the family and friends, especially. And I will continue on. I just, that sucks. I did not expect to see that. I guess the family went ahead and put a message out, and that's why everyone's jumping on it now with the news out. But we shall continue on. She was just an amazing artist. She was definitely a businesswoman, and she did so many other side projects too. It wasn't just the music, but anyway, so to kind of continue on, when I had asked Google, you know how the AI overview answer pops up and everything, and it kind of gives you a breakdown, and it is helpful. I don't like using it all the time because then it's like I'm not using my own thinking skills or research. But I was just curious what Google would say about the 3 people they could, choose. And I thought this was really interesting because it was like, oh, okay. So Google actually chose Leonardo da Vinci, Marie Curie, and Mark Twain. But I like how some of it was, it like broke it down. It said from these 3 people in history, the mix would balance profound intellect, creative spark, and historical insight. So with Leonardo da Vinci, it was saying a master of art and science because he could share how he viewed the inner workings of the natural world. And we all know his artistic work. Marie Curie, I was not very familiar with her. Her picture looked kind of like I've seen it before, but she was a pioneering physicist and chemist whose dedication changed modern science forever. So that's huge. And then Mark Twain, which we all know is his storytelling abilities, but he definitely could keep the mood lively with his observations on human nature, but he was also like a really smart guy. So I thought that was just interesting to kind of share before I share my answers, that even Google had some reasons for 3 certain people that it would sit with. So this actually, my first 2 are really easy to answer. It's the last one I'm having the more hard time with. But either way, it doesn't look like any of us really narrowed down to just 3 people. So we're going to go into it. My first would definitely, I have to like co-sign my mom and Troy, is Jesus. I would absolutely just want to be in his presence. I don't even know if I would have like the strength to even ask him anything. I think I would just want to be in his presence and just hug him, cry with him, sit with him, and just feel his love for me. And if he did say anything to me, I think I would just listen, and I would just want to be in that moment with him. I really don't think I would have any questions because I know everything happens for a reason. I know every situation, every challenge, every level up, every catastrophe, like you name it, everything is really building you and your character and your heart, and it's a test of your faith as well. And I think I don't think I would have the words, but I would just want to sit with him and enjoy his company, his presence, his love. But I know I would definitely cry, and I know I would definitely just hug him, as I am such a lovey-dovey, hugger, touchy person. I have to have that. So it's almost like I know he would know that I'm going to hug you and because it's Jesus himself, I'm going to cry. There's nothing holding back. And I feel like he would just know I needed a hug, even if I didn't say anything, or even if I was like too awestruck to get up and hug him. I feel like he would just know to hug me. So I had to take a minute with that one because it did get me a little emotional. Just, I guess, putting yourself in that mind frame of what would you really do if you were like in Jesus's presence, in God's presence. What if you heard their voice? Like, what would you really do? My second person would definitely be C.S. Lewis. Not only have I literally grown up with the Chronicles of Narnia, but I was so in love with The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe since like second grade. I had been reading this book over and over and over and over and over. And once I got older, I just became really fascinated by his personal journey from atheism to like this deep love for God. And I know when he was younger, his tutor, Kirkpatrick, I want to say it was, because I actually had to do a whole paper on this. He kind of strengthened C.S. Lewis's commitment to like always look for the facts and the logic and what makes sense and to ask questions. And he was very smart. And a lot of those same qualities, you know, obviously helped him examine faith and question it. But also I read about how his friendship with J.R.R. Tolkien, I don't even know if I'm saying that name right. But that's how well I know that person. I just know C.S. Lewis better. And how their friendship really kind of influenced him to even go towards God, but also to challenge the facts and challenge the faith, but also to like prove things. You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't just do it on a whim. He wouldn't just do it because it felt good. And then he had another friend, I don't remember the other guy's name, but they would just like come together. They were all professors at this school, and they would just really challenge each other and come up with this group and just consistently grow with one another, and how they could ask reason and faith. And it kind of just came together for him. I think I even remember reading his testimony about how he found God. It was on this little journey. I think he was in like a 2-passenger motorcycle, and he was in the smaller part of it. I think it was his brother or someone he knew. And he says he got in that ride, you know, not believing in God that way. And by the time they went to this opening, a new opening for a zoo, he believed in God. And it's like he could never put the words together, but his heart and everything just went to God. And, you know, if you Google C.S. Lewis, he's always committed to it makes sense, or he had the facts, he had the reasoning, and he would put it all together. But he would talk about like his transformation of God softening his heart and like giving him these spiritual ideas and stories that he came up with, but also that a way a child could understand and also carry with them. And the Chronicles of Narnia, I mean, come on. If you haven't read the 5-book series, I think there's one I actually have literally never finished because I always went back to The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, because that's my favorite book. But the Chronicles of Narnia is actually a 5-book series. And when the movies came out, they only did probably the most 3 that were read or just commonly well known. And it's just really interesting to see how it all came together, I guess, in a way. and how much of his real life actually like really went into these characters for The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And I don't want to give too much away. I definitely like leaving you all with just a little bit of curiosity. If you look up his story of how The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe came about, you'll just be like, whoa, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. Like, I learned a lot the more I kept researching like the same thing. And obviously you're going to find different versions of it, but some people have it wrong and a lot of people have it right. But it's really cool how one significant thing in his life completely made this whole Narnia appearance in this book. But I promise, if you ever just have that curiosity of reading any C.S. Lewis book, really, you will not be left like on a ledge or with more questions. He does such a great job with Chronicles of Narnia, and I do have my favorites versus, the ones I don't like as much. But if you have never actually read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, it's so much better than the movie. The movie was good, don't get me wrong. I love the movie. I even like the other two, but the book's always better. Come on. And then my third person I really struggled with. I kind of wanted it to be a woman at first. Then I wanted it to be like an activist. Then I wanted it to be... I was really, really conflicted with the third person. And I'm not exactly sure as to why. There's so many people I would love to sit and just talk with. Or like get a grasp of how they thought in their time period. Or, things like that. And one really struck to me a little bit harder than the other two I still want to share is Lynn Ebb. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. So she's an author. I actually got this book from my aunt when I first got diagnosed with cancer, and she found it on Amazon, and it kind of had great reviews, but it kind of left like a warning, like if you don't want to hear the truth, or I don't know, she kind of warned me because of what reviews had said about it. But it is called When God and Cancer Meet, and she puts her own story in there, but she is also sharing other people's stories of hope and healing through their journey with cancer. And yes, some of them pass away. I mean, cancer's kind of crazy. It does what it wants. It's not like you can really control it, or, I mean, you can get rid of it. I can't say you can't. It's just different for every single person. And you have so many different types of cancer and stages and side effects, you name it. But when I found this book and I read it, I literally could only handle a chapter at a time. It was just a lot to kind of process, accept, and I actually read this book over and over and over. It's like I need the hope, I need the positive, I need the reality of it, I need the comfort. But I also know that God is with me through this. It's not just, oh, you have cancer and you might die. Or, you know you're going to die. We just don't know when. And yeah, I'm not going to say that doesn't stay in my mind or cross my mind. Probably not as often as you'd think. But I'm okay with that too. But she's a real personal reason as to why I would want her at my table. And I know she's still alive. If I could absolutely do an interview with her, I would jump. I would so jump. But she also is there to really offer this hope to cancer patients and their caregivers. Like, this is what she does for a living. And she just really spoke to me in a place that when you're going through something, you can hear all the kind gestures and positive things from other people. But if they have never gone through it, sometimes it goes in one ear and out the other. Not to be disrespectful or not to say that those encouraging words don't help, because they do. It's just, how would you know? You've never gone through this, or this is really hard. I can't see another way out unless it's through someone that has been in my shoes, I guess is how I saw it. But I just want to thank her for writing this book. This book has truly kind of held me up more than a couple times. And it really helped me understand that you can recognize that cancer and your faith can exist at the same time in the same story. You can have a little bit of fear, or just fear in general. I can't say that I don't have fear ever. But it can be present while God is still present too. And just how much it's helped me with my journey. And it's like she found the words that I couldn't when she wrote this book. So it's very personal and meaningful for me. And I feel like I wouldn't have even asked her to sit at my table. I feel like she earned it because she found a way into my heart. And she had the words that I couldn't get out with this book. And it is on Amazon. It is an amazing read. I even had my mom read it. I don't remember if my aunt read it or not, but I hope she did, or she will, because I think it's good for those being family members or friends of someone going through cancer too. And to kind of, sum up my answers. So those are my three. Those were my final three. But I definitely struggled with these next two. I honestly wanted to add in Mandino. If you've ever heard of him, he writes The Greatest Miracle in the World, The Greatest Secret in the World, The Choice, A Better Way to Live. His biggest book is The Greatest Salesman in the World. And I really just love his wisdom that comes through these books. And they're not even long books. They're actually pretty short books. But he wrote them at such a different time. Like we're talking 60s, 70s possibly. He has so many good books. But like his most famous quote that he would say over and over was, "I will persist until I succeed." And he was a faith man, but he was also kind of like a realist. And he just, he spoke volumes through his novels. Definitely Google him. I can always add the links for everything I'm talking about. So the other one I really struggled with is because I am always open to learning and I love wisdom. And I know in the Bible, Solomon actually just wanted to ask God of everything he could have asked him. He truly just asked for an understanding mind. He wanted to have a discerning heart and to kind of tell the difference between right and wrong. Because I believe he felt like he was too young and not ready to lead this big nation. And, oh my goodness, don't quote me yet on what part of the Bible he's in, but I want to say it's 1 Kings. But I know he's in multiple different chapters. But it was just the fact that God was so happy with him that he didn't ask for riches. He didn't ask for an eternity to live. He just asked for wisdom. And I feel like that's what I want. I just want the wisdom. I want to be able to figure it out on my own, or just to have that knowledge and that understanding. And God was just so happy that he made this unselfish choice, because it's almost like you really want to understand others, not just, yourself or what people think like. You want to understand everything. And I just feel like God was just so happy with Solomon's request when he could have chosen anything else. He honestly could have asked God for power, for like all the money in the world, or like this significant life without problems. And he honestly just chose for wisdom and a discernment, so that he could not just understand his people, but he could lead God's people with, I want to say, fairness. Yes, he wanted to show fairness and understanding. And his story just kind of reminds us that true wisdom begins with God. Let's get that clear. But we have to keep choosing to follow that wisdom and knowing what is right, what is wrong. And obviously living it and knowing it are two different things. But I do know a lot of people would probably know him as he fairly judged like the two women with the baby, and they both claimed to be the mother. He knew, but it also was revealed, and obviously, like the way they were with this baby, who the true mother was, through her willingness to give up the child to save its life. I know that is in 1 Kings. But I do feel like his wisdom was beyond leadership. So as we close out of this episode, I really want you to think about this question. Who's at your table? Is it someone that's shaped your faith? Is it someone who's challenged your thinking? Someone who has strengthened your spirit, mind, body, soul, heart? Or just reminded you that God was still present even during those hard moments where you couldn't feel him? Because at my table, Jesus is always going to be there, and he has the most important seat there. He has definitely carried me through it all. But I am also open to anyone and everyone being at my table whose words and faith, suffering, their purpose, or their life is different. Because honestly, I think we just need each other to lean on to get through a lot of this. And I just hope that we recognize at different moments in our life and things we go through who belongs at our table and who definitely may need to leave. But also to keep God at the center of it all. Your table doesn't have to be crowded. It just needs to hold the people, the lessons, and the voices that help you grow closer to who God created you to be. And remember, wisdom isn't just knowing what is right. It's about having the courage to live it. So take a look around your table. Be grateful for the ones who have poured into you. Learn from the ones who have challenged you. And always leave room for God to guide you. Until next time, I'm your host, Jessie. Take care of yourself, take care of one another, and remember, we got this.